The Murdaugh family is back in the headlines. Buster Murdaugh, now surviving son of the convicted killer Alec Murdaugh, filed a defamation lawsuit against several media organizations, including Netflix and Warner Brothers. Buster says they linked him to the death of his former classmate Stephen Smith in their docuseries spotlighting the Murdaugh case.
The Murdaughs would just make someone disappear.
There were so many rumors that Buster and Stephen were intimate together.
Stephen's death is now intertwined with the Murdaugh.
All right, so that's just one of the docuseries at the center of the case. The lawsuit claims the series implies the Murdaugh, specifically Buster, is linked to Smith's death. Now, Stephen Smith was found dead in 2015 on the road near the Murdaugh South Carolina estate. In March of last year, Buster denied what he called the baseless rumors that connected him to Smith's death. Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rose joining us now.
So Khalif, when these media companies make series like this, the producers typically make multiple efforts to get the other side of the story, requesting an interview from the other side so that there's some balance to it. So does that effort protect these companies in the event that someone they interview says something that is false?
Great question. I mean, the key portion here is that you have to know that the statement that you were saying was false. You have to make a false and defamatory statement. You have to cause some damage to that person, either to their reputation or their standing in the community. And how do you determine if it was false or defamatory? Did you know at the time that it was false or defamatory? Was the information provided? Did you do background? Did you attempt to balance it? Did you fact check that person? Should you have known, or was it reckless as they stated in their complaint? And you disregarded the actual truth that you knew these things were false. The DeWitt person that they mentioned from the newspaper, he said in the documentary that we didn't even use the Murdaugh name when we ran our story because we didn't want to get sued, which would further strengthen the possibility that he may have known that some of the statements that they were even making in their newspaper article may not have been wholly true at the time. The Netflix article, or I should say special, that they talked about in there, that when they never said his name, but they had a character that had red hair and a baseball bat that had the image and likeness of Buster. And so they're attempting to connect not just the wording that people are saying that he did it, but also the reconstruction of the events. And the problem with most of these things are, back in the day, you would wait, 10 to 15 years after an incident, and then you would see a documentary, then you would see a story. I mean, these documentaries were coming out while the trial was still happening most of the time. And so that's why I think he may have some merit to his case, because there wasn't even enough time for you to know if the things were true or not. Even though the alleged murder that occurred, that they're saying that he did, happened 10 years ago, the actual stories were coming out during the trial while it was still happening.
So that's what I was going to ask you there. How strong do you think this lawsuit is?
I mean, it really will just depend. I mean, the standard is, again, did you cause damage? Did you cause damage to my reputation? Was it false and misleading? And should you have known that this was true or false? And so that's, I mean, that reckless disregard for truthfulness is what his attorneys are harping on. And it really will come on down to discovery. Statements like were made in the documentary, specifically that we didn't want to air certain things because he didn't want to get sued, would tend to let you believe that you weren't wholly sure if what you were saying was truthful. I mean, if I'm a gambling person right now, and I'm saying this is a 50-50 call, because there's really not enough out there to say how this will go. But I can tell you that it could backfire on Buster, because in the process of discovery, what will also happen is they'll probably come out with a part 3. And so while you're frustrated that they're having this part 1 and part 2, there'll be another mini-series put out about this whole ordeal. And so if it's your goal to make sure that you don't get your name tarnished any further, not saying to avoid litigation, but there may have been another way to try to get a resolution, which did not involve suing the very people that have the power to make another special.
Well, and the family needs the money at this point, too. But, a lot of these follow the same format. You hear about podcasts that are digging into the truth of maybe a cold case. They make a lot of comments that probably aren't true. So how could this case, if Buster Murdaugh wins, maybe impact some of those hosts out there who are trying to solve a case, for instance?
I mean, I think even if you don't point to this one, you can point to that Cardi B situation where you had the podcaster making all those allegations against her. She sued her for defamation and won. And now the woman is asking her to drop the claim. I don't have tens of millions to pay you. And so a lot of these individuals, not like the Buster situation, that have means, that have resources, are suing people in that situation where you're making defamatory statements against them without fact checking it. You're trying to make a name for yourself off of their bad situation, and you have not determined if this is actually true. In Buster's situation, again, I think it's a 50-50 call right now, but as we continue to watch this, I think we'll learn more information to see, did they know? And that's really will be the crux of this case.
Right, and it seems like it's all about money. if you get down to
That's
it.
always.
Subpoena's on the way.
All right, thank you, Kelly.